Hey friends, this is Victor Fernandez with a short video on how to correctly set up your left hand position on the violin or the viola. This will not be about playing any songs, but about getting the hand in the correct place, making sure that your fingers are landing on the string in the correct direction, okay? That you're pressing with the right part of your finger. And so at the end of this video, you should have a very good mental model of what that looks like when done correctly. So let's get started. I'm using a violin for my demonstration. However, on the viola, the process will be very similar. So if you are following this on a viola, you can follow the same steps. So if I am here, once I'm here in playing position, I'm going to bring my hand up to the neck of the violin. Now I'm going to be close to the nut, which is this small piece of ebony right above the fingerboard, and I'm going to be very close to the nut. I want to check for three things. Number one, that I have a space under the neck and the crevice of my hand. I can put my finger through it. Since I teach children, I call that the cave. So we want to check for the cave or that space underneath. Number two, we want our thumb to be peeking slightly over the fingerboard. And I'll tell you why we want to do that. And number three, we want the wrist to feel like it's hanging down, right? Wrist to feel like it's hanging down, or straight wrist as you often hear it called. So with those three things in place, a cave or space under your hand, a peeking thumb, and a straight wrist, you're in a very good place to begin putting your fingers down. So from here, when my first finger comes down, the shape that I want to try as much as possible to make is kind of a square, as you can see from my first finger pressing. So I have a square shape with my first finger. My second finger has more of a rounded shape, okay? And my third finger, again, has more of a rounded shape. You want to press with the tip of your finger. The tip of your finger. Do not press with the pad. If you are making a pyramid when you put your finger down, you are doing it wrong. Okay? And a pyramid would look like this, because it looks like a pyramid. This is not correct. So you want to press with the tip of your finger. Now I'm going to press really hard to show you where the line cuts into my finger. Right? So you see where that is. That's good. So you can see right there how the string has made an indentation on my finger. You can focus a little bit, phone. But I think you can see it. That's where you want to press, okay? On the tip of your finger. So from there, playing position, I'm going to place my hand. I'm going to move it up and down a few times. Remember, I teach large classes, so I have to turn everything into a rhythmic process, okay? So I go polish, 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 pat, 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 polish, 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 and again, see, peeking thumb, cave, I'm just moving my hand so that things don't tighten up. Polish, 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 pat, 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 polish, 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 and we pull our hand back. Now, with my beginning students, I very lightly mark up where their finger should be. I do this using my own ear by figuring out where the notes are in tune, and I just very lightly mark it with a pencil. It doesn't damage the fingerboard, and it's temporary, because ultimately you want your ear to guide the finger to the correct place. Does that make sense? So some teachers put on tapes, right? Over time, those tapes can be out of tune. Ultimately, you do not want to rely on the tapes. You do not want to rely on these markings. You want to rely on your ear. But this is the way that I teach, where I'll develop their ear, and the ear guides the finger. And if it doesn't sound right, you fix it. But a beginner, to give them a visual help, okay, I have these little markings. So now, my right thumb is going to go right under the fingerboard, and now I'm going to work on putting my fingers down. So I'm going to pluck a Mississippi stop-stop rhythm, eighth note, quarter, quarter. Okay, 4 eighth notes, 2 quarter notes, like this, starting on the E string. First finger comes down, I make a box shape. If I'm a beginner, I'm looking at that approximate placement and I'm plucking in tune. Second finger comes down, I release my first finger, you do not need it. Third finger comes down, release my second. And we're developing independence of the left hand fingers. Repeat, third finger. Second finger. First finger. And E. Or A string if you're on the viola. I shake out their hands. We roll our shoulders to make sure that we stay limber and relaxed, because tension is the #1 enemy of any string player. And now we'll do the whole sequence together. Playing position, checking for the space under your hand, the cave, under the crevice of the thumb, the peaking thumb, our straight wrist, hand over by the nut, behind those little markings or tapes if you have them, or where it sounds right. Get the hand where the fingers will land in the correct place. And here we go. Ready, 2 and 3 and go. Now, you can rewind that exercise and you can do it again. You can go back and watch the section where I lead up to it. But now let's look at what's wrong and what not to do. Are you ready? Here it goes. Okay, #1 beginner problem. This, collapsed wrist. Do not allow your child, if you're watching and you're a teacher, or if you're watching and you're a child or a parent, do not let your child play like this. You will never get anywhere and you will never grow as a musician, because this will set you up for failure as a player. So we want the wrist to be feeling like it's hanging down, and often called straight wrist, but it's this relaxed wrist that you pull a little bit and it's here, right? Do not overextend, do not collapse. Keep it here. Now, earlier I said the peaking thumb. Remember I said peaking thumb? Here's why. A lot of children bring the thumb up like this, and they try to play like this. You cannot play like this. If your violin neck is on the crevice of your hand, like this, you cannot play. And the reason is because now your fingers are way too high. And now you end up getting pyramids when you put the finger down. So you can't play like this, okay? That's why I combine both peaking thumb and the cave down here. 90%, 95%, 99% of hands on a correctly sized instrument will look like this. Make sense? So you don't want to give a baby a full-size violin. Make sure you're using the right size instrument. I could make a whole nother video for that. But generally, you do not want, now I'm a big guy, 6'2", 200 pounds, so this looks really small for me, okay? But this is a full-size violin. Generally, if your child's violin scroll is out here on their hand, it's too big. If your violin or viola is out here, it's too big. You need something smaller. What I do with my students is at the base of the wrist. This is a good place to be, and they'll be set up to correctly position the hand. Base of the wrist is good. Young adults, you might be a little bit longer, like me, yeah? So anyways, so that's a little bit on that. So those are the reasons. No collapsed wrist, do not overextend, do not bring the thumb all the way in, okay? Bring the thumb down, peaking thumb, cave, and then the hand back here by the nut, because if you're up here, you will definitely not be in the right place to play the correct pitches of E, F sharp, G sharp, and A, which are the notes you're playing. If your hand is up here, you will never play those pitches because they're back here. So that's why this is a good place to start. If you have any questions about this video, please let me know, because my goal is to create content that is helpful for you. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and leave me a comment in the section below. And so have an amazing day. Thank you for watching. You're awesome.